In this video, we're going to walk through the aux buses on the MLS-X1 and how we can control them, both with the menu and with the panel. The top row of my panel I've now set to aux bus mode, which means the top stripe here will delegate aux buses by default, and these buttons down here will let me choose a source. So you'll see, first of all, if I change the source on there, you can see that aux1 is changing as I punch along that stripe. I can do that with all four of the auxes you see on screen. I can change any of them at will. But new for the MLS-X1 is the ability to also do so in the menu. So over here on the left-hand side, under other effects, we have aux bus and aux crosspoint. Here you'll see a representation of all the aux buses in the desk, and we can see the logical VK number routed to them and the name of that source as well. So if I go to edit over here on aux1, I can start changing the source in that box, and as I tap, you'll see the change reflected immediately. I can do that with any of the aux buses to any source in the switcher. That's also reflected in a macro, should I be recording one. I can also turn on an aux mix. And an aux mix allows me to pair two auxes together, in this case 1 and 2, to mix the output on aux1 when I change the source. We do that by pairing them together and using the second aux as the preview side. So when I change source on aux1, aux2 will go first, and then aux1 will smoothly transition. This is really useful for in-vision monitors or anywhere you need a softer change. I can turn it on in the menu like that, or I can use the aux mix button on the crosspoint pad just here. So I've turned that on for aux1 now, and when I change aux1, you'll see it mixes through with aux2 taking the source first, and is serving a utility purpose at this point, just to allow us to mix on aux1. I'm also going to turn that on aux3 by going to aux3 and hitting aux mix, and now I can mix the sources on aux3, and it's working in exactly the same way. Now, if you're using those auxes on in-vision monitors, you might need to color correct slightly to allow for lighting and cameras. So I can go to the aux bus CCR menu, which allows me to use the outgoing color correctors on the outputs on the aux buses. This is really useful for in-vision stuff, but also anywhere where you might need to just tweak video levels slightly for any other purpose. So I can turn the CCR on, making it blue, which has already been done, and now I can go to video process, and you can see on aux1 I can start to lift the gain of that video more and more, or bring it right down if it's a little bit too bright. I've got full control of the colours there. And you'll also know that aux1 and aux3 are moving together. That's because we have a link group set up between aux1 and aux3, and that allows me to control multiple auxes and colour correct them at the same time in sync. That's really useful because often when we have studio monitors, they all need the same level of adjustment, so you can see them changing together. I can turn that on and off by killing the link enable, and I also have the ability to set up other link groups for other groups of monitors. But at a basic level, setting a quick link group allows us to keep things in sync. I can also link the source switching of those buses together, and I do that in the link menu. So coming down to the link menu, I can go to internal bus link, and I'm going to use link 10 for the moment because it's out of the way, and I'm going to turn it on. And you can see I've already preset that the controlling bus is going to be aux1, and the linked bus is going to be aux3, which is on the left-hand side of our quad split over there. I've also told it to use link table 2. You'll see when I switch sources on aux1 now that both are going to switch together. So we end up with the same source on both. That's really useful for switching monitors. In fact, I'm going to turn the mix off for now. And you can see them moving bang on in sync together. Now, sometimes, if those are for two different feeds, I might want to substitute out a source or ignore a cut on one bus and not the other. We can do that with our link table. So I'm going to use link table 2 here, and I go to table VK pair assign and have a look at table 2. You can see that camera 1 is linked to camera 1 and 2 is to 2 and so on. So we're 1 to 1 at the moment. But if we come down to clip 1, I'm going to use what's called a no action substitution. It's assignable as a VK source and serves a utility purpose of ignoring a cut on a substitution table. So if I pop no action in there for clip 1, we're currently on clip 4. If I go to clip 1 on aux1, you'll see that aux3 stays with clip 4. until I go somewhere else, and it rejoins aux1. It will do this from any state, and it allows me to essentially ignore a shot on that aux bus. That's really useful for wide shots that might include an in-vision monitor, or some other situation where you need to hide a certain source from one output, but not the other. And it's really easy to set up, and once it's done, as an operator, I don't have to think about it, and the show will essentially run itself. So that was a quick look at how we can control aux buses on the MLS-X1 and some of the more advanced features which can help on a busier production.